Thank you, Chairman. Senator Mullin, thanks for coming out here. I wanted to just start. Secretary Noem said in a cabinet meeting about almost exactly a year ago today that we should be eliminating FEMA. Can you commit to us here that you don't support that approach and you wouldn't attempt to eliminate FEMA?
As I said, I think it needs to be restructured, not eliminated.
I think there is going to be bipartisan support for reforms. I think we all understand that. We certainly saw a lot of problems when it came to Superstorm Sandy. I asked Secretary Noem to work with us, especially as they were going about their FEMA Review Council. I'll be honest with you, that never materialized. We did not see the kind of engagement here that we're ready to have. We have a bipartisan group of senators that want to come up with reforms. Is that something you can commit to working with us on?
Senator, I think all of us that's been either in the House or in the Senate always complain about the outreach of agencies. I will make a commitment to you that I'm going to have the best. It's going to take a couple months to stand it up, but we're going to have a ledge affairs shop that you're going to know who the person is. We're going to work with you, but most importantly, I think everybody on this dais has my personal cell phone. That cell phone isn't going to change. And if you call me, you're going to get a response. If you text me, we're going to get a response.
So when we have this FEMA Review Council report finally come out, is that something you'll come to us first and engage with us on rather than just implementing straight out from the executive branch on your own?
Senator, I'm pretty sure that you guys set the policies and the mission for FEMA. So for any serious changes, it may take actually policy changes. And I will be in your office talking to you about it.
I appreciate that, but we've seen a lot of significant problems happen. For instance, we saw about 2,400 staff cuts at FEMA. And again, we're not talking about the reforms, but we're talking about those that are trying to respond to these disasters every single day. So I wanted to ask if you're confirmed if you will stop these dangerous staff cuts that have reduced FEMA's disaster readiness.
Senator, I'm not trying to play politics, but what's been the biggest disaster is not funding them 3 times in a year. However, you know, some of these agencies under the current administration, not some, all of them got very bloated with having too many employees.
You think there's still too many staff at FEMA?
Senator, I can't answer that. When I get there, we'll be adequately staffed to respond to our nation's disasters. But it's going to take some time to get there because, like I said, people are quitting today because they're not getting paid for the 3rd time in a year, and we can't allow that to take place.
I agree, and I hope that we can move forward on that. But one thing that has demonstrated a lack of priority by this administration is the fact that we never actually had a full nominee for FEMA. So I just wanted to ask, do you agree that we need an actual nominee to be a full FEMA administrator that has real experience in emergency management?
Absolutely. We're already looking at some in the case that we do get confirmed, which I'm hopeful we do. We are making that a priority in each one of our agencies. But you know, the confirmation also has to go through you, and we know.
I get it, but at least we can get a nominee before us, and I think that that's something I hope to take away. That is a commitment you'll make.
By honestly, by the experience that I've had, which has been an interesting experience, it's a lot to ask someone, and they got to be fully committed. If they go through this process, it's tough. So I would ask you if I do this, give them a fair shake. For me, a lot of you guys aren't giving me a fair shake to even earn your support. So if I bring somebody else into you, maybe you'll give them a fair shake and you'll actually work with them because I'm going to find somebody that is capable of doing the job, that's smarter than me at doing the job, that has experience doing the job. But when they come to your office and ask for your support, don't tell them it's politics. Don't say I can't. Don't say that, hey, I supported the previous one, but you know, I got burned on that one, so I can't support you. We'll trust, but see, just give them a fair opportunity, and you might actually like the person we choose.
And look, it's not just about the person; it's about the policies writ large. And then look, you know what we saw before. For instance, Secretary Noem had this policy that required her approval for anything that was going out the door, grants, funding, when it over $100,000. And I'll be honest with you, it was disastrous. It held up so much of the funding to FEMA and other parts of DHS. You know, Senator Peters and I did a review of this. Over 1,000 FEMA contracts, grants, and disaster assistance awards were delayed. So I wanted to ask you if you can commit to revoking this $100,000 policy by Secretary Noem.
Sir, we talked in your office about that, and absolutely. That's called micromanaging, and I don't know if Secretary put that in or someone else did. I'm not a micromanager. We put people in, we empower them to make decisions. What is required to come up to my level will make decisions. We will have a very clear line of communication with every one of our agency's heads on their authority that is given to you that you gave to them within their parameters, and we'll discuss. But we're also going to be very responsible for the taxpayer dollars. But it's unrealistic to some degree.
It's just adding so much red tape, though. I mean, it really delayed, especially when it came to disaster response down at the Texas floods. I want to switch gears here. This is something you remember we talked about, but we have this effort right now. ICE has purchased a warehouse in Roxbury, New Jersey. It's a facility the size of 8 football fields to house over 1,500 detainees. Never once did an ICE official go and talk to the local mayor, talk to the local law enforcement, assess the situation alongside the locals. So I just wanted to ask you, is that fair that DHS is imposing these types of large-scale detention facilities without local engagement and input?
Sir, being from small rural Oklahoma, it's a big impact, and the community should be visited with, especially when you start taking a warehouse off. It takes it off the tax roll, which could make a huge impact, and you got to deal with impact aid if they're eligible for it. And then you got to talk about infrastructure. One thing I do know is construction. When you start talking about infrastructure on these places, a warehouse sprinkler system is much smaller than when you are housing individuals there. And if you say, I think you said the town is 60,000 people, and I believe you said this was
smaller than that.
Is it smaller than that? So
about 22,000 people,
okay, and
of
the
which the
detainees
and the staff there would constitute about 10% of the population of that town.
Yeah, and realistically, it's not. Most municipalities don't have the capacity in their infrastructure for waste and water. So it's important that we're talking to the communities, and if we're having additional needs, we can work with the cities, we can work with the municipalities, but we should always communicate with them.
I agree with that, and this town has only 42 police officers, a volunteer fire department. Does that sound like the kind of town that has the resources to take on a warehouse of this magnitude?
Sir, I don't know the circumstances behind this other than what you and I talked about. I committed to you when I visited with you in your office. We'll talk. I even said, you and I get on the phone with the mayor. If I'm confirmed, I'll make a trip out there and see it for myself, because it's a big concern of yours, and we want to address those concerns. And if it's not practical, but I also said it's got to be, there may be a specific reason why it's there. If I can't explain that to you, then that's a different story. But if there's a specific reason I can explain it to you to make it make sense, let's talk about it. But if not, then maybe we can be better partners.
I'm glad that you commit to talking about it. There are some documents I asked ICE to send us about their evaluations of the warehouse. We have still yet to get it. Will you commit that that is something that we can get once?
Yeah, the documents are available, yes, but I've also offered something much better. I'll go with you personally and look at it.
That's something that the local community will appreciate, and I hope that you will reassess this warehouse.
As I said in my opening statements, we want to protect the homeland, but we also want peace of mind and bring back confidence to the Department of Homeland Security. And all this means that we got to work on that, and I will work on that.
Senator, support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.